welcome back to my channel. Today we are doing a drugstore battle, but I use the term drugstore loosely because drugstore is kind of like an umbrella for all things affordable. Even if you can't technically get it at the drugstore, it's just the price point that I'm referring to. Today we're going to be putting up two eyeshadow palettes against each other, the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk and, and Bad Habits Athena Palette. Full disclosure, this is not my palette. This is my friend's palette, and she let me borrow it for the purposes of this video. I actually did not have this palette, which is why I did not do this video sooner, but I had this one. And I've been talking about this palette since I got it back in, I think, December or November. I have been obsessed with this palette. This is a $12 palette. It's 12 bucks. And this one, I believe, is $65. So, I mean, that's quite a big price point jump. I'm gonna warn you that my palette looks really ratchet. So these are what they look like. This is the Athena palette. This is the Huda palette. They're very, very, very similar. Very similar. Like, eerily similar. Like, almost identical. I am going to insert swatches for you guys of the palettes side by side so you can see there are color tone differences in them. You will see that some of them have a little bit of a deeper undertone than the other, or one of them might be more purple, one of them might be more red. They are very, very similar. So I'm going to insert swatches for you guys to see right now. Alright, so we have Huda Beauty on the left, Athena on the right. So we have Desert Sand versus Purity. Then we have Eden versus Valor, Musk versus Truth, Amber versus Heroic. This is the Huda side again. This is Blood Moon versus Divine from Athena. We have Oud versus Clever. We have Celestial versus Cunning. It's my favorite shade. And then we have Nefertiti versus Fierce. Okay, so we have Twilight from Huda and Epic from Athena. Then we have Amethyst versus Justice. Royal versus Wisdom. Those ones are really similar. And then we have Retrograde versus Gleam. Okay, so this is the last row. I'm leading with Huda, so I'm going in the Huda order. So this one is Cashmere. The dupe is Triumph. Then we have Angelic versus Medusa. Then these are the glitters. We have Cosmo versus Daring. We have Turkish Delight versus Prize. Those ones are almost identical. And then we have Saffron versus Power and Blazing versus Lore. So I thought that it would be worth it to film this video just to kind of compare the two palettes and see if the $12 palette stands up. Is it a real dupe, and is it worth saving your money and getting the dupe, or should you splurge and get the higher end palette? Now I know these palettes have been out for quite a while, but like I said, I didn't have the Huda Desert Dusk, so if you're somebody who isn't sure, or if you have the Athena palette and you've been really thinking about getting the Desert Dusk, or vice versa, just so that you can bear in mind this brand Bad Habit does have dupes down the road. If you wanted to save a few bucks, they're really good quality. Like, really good quality. I have several different ones, and they good. I think I talked about them in a favorites video back in November, and I showed like a bunch of different ones. So if you guys are interested, I will leave the link for the website Shop Hush where you can get these, just an FYI. But without further ado, if you would like to see the two palettes go to war on my eyes, to see how I created this look, to see my thoughts on the different shadows, then keep on watching. Okay, so I zoomed you guys in a little bit, and I just want to show you what I'm going to be using. I have this Clinique makeup brush cleanser and some paper towels, and I'm going to be cleaning my brush off in between sides, just so that we're not mixing the product too much. I also have this Veramona brush cleaner thing, and that also helps with the cleaning of the brushes. I have other brushes I can use, but these brushes are my favorite, so I want to really make sure that I'm using the same brushes so I can really compare the two formulas. So that's why I'm doing this rather than just using separate brushes for separate eyes. I don't have backups for my Luxie brushes. I actually don't have backups for like my Ride or Die brushes, and these are them. I've got this one from BH. I've got a couple from Luxie and this one from Morphe. It's my ride or die because of the shade. Anyway, so I'm gonna clean these brushes off and then we're gonna get started. Okay, I started filming and I don't know why, but it shut off, so I didn't get half that footage. So I'm going to be starting with the Huda palette because this is a newer palette to me, and I'm taking the shade Eden and I'm just gonna pop that on the crease. This is gonna be the Huda side. This is like a peachy, salmony brown color. Great for a transition. So far, these blended out, well, this shadow, this one shadow that I used, it blended out beautifully. It's very buttery, very smooth. Let me talk about how swollen my eyes are right now. It's allergy season, and my allergies are, and I never used to have allergies, but right now, those shits are on fuego. All right, so next I'm gonna take the Athena palette, and after I clean off my brush, I'm going to take this shade here, which I hit pan on because I always use it, and it's called Valor, and I'm going to be applying it to this side. Goes on a little more pigmented than the Huda one, but the tones are very, very similar. This one is almost a little more peachy and definitely more pigmented. I mean, I actually just put one layer on and I blended it out a little bit, and it's already darker than the Huda side, which I put a couple layers on and was building up the color. So the Athena one, you don't need to build it up as much because the color comes out pretty strong. Interesting. I'm going to take my Luxie 229 brush and I'm going to go into this shade here called Blazing, and it's an orangey, kind of a pumpkin shade. And I'm just going to go over where we put the transition just to warm it up. That went on perfect. I do feel like I need to buff this out a little, these edges. That went on like really smooth. Same thing, really buttery, and blended out flawlessly. So now I'm gonna clean my brush, take my Athena palette, and I'm gonna go into this shade here called Truth, and I'm gonna do the same thing. Ooh, see how much more pigment comes out on these? Like a lot more. And that's not necessarily a good thing, by the way, because then you have to sit there and blend it out for a lot longer, where if you build the color up, then it's a little easier to blend. Go back in with the other brush and just buff it out. The Huda shadows definitely go on much smoother, but the Athena ones are far more pigmented. This shade has a little bit more coral to it, and that might just be because there's a boatload of pigment. So I'm gonna see if I can build the Huda up a little bit, if it'll look the same. Alright, so I went in with the Huda and it's much more orange. Like, this is a more orange tone shade and this one is a bit more coral. But they both look good. Next up, with my little Morphe 519, it's a little bit more tapered so I can really define the crease out. I'm going to go in with Amber. And Amber is like a deeper reddy brown color. And I'm just going to pop that right into the crease. Just go back and forth. These Huda shadows really just melt into each other. It's really nice and it makes it very, very easy to apply. So for the Athena palette, I'm going in with this shade here called Heroic, and same thing. I can't tell if it's because of the colors underneath, but it just looks more red. It has like more of a red undertone, where again the hooded one has more of an orange undertone. But it could be the shades underneath and the way that they're blending together. Again, I think this one was more pigmented but with the hooded, but it doesn't melt in as effortlessly as the hooded one does. I am going to take this shade Saffron, and I am going to pop that into the outer V and bring it up into the crease. Oh, and this is a Zoeva 231, by the way. And this is a deep cranberry burgundy type of a shade. It's really pretty. These are like my shades. I love using these. I'm just sort of pressing it in, and that's how I'm gonna blend the shadow. And then I will take this Morphe brush to just gently grab the edges. That's so pretty, and it was really effortless. Effortless. All right, so let me clean this brush off. And for the Athena palette, we're gonna take this color here, which is called Power, and do the same exact thing. Yeah. Did you guys see how much more pigment that was? Wow. I will say for 12 bucks, these are pretty amazing. I mean, you guys know I love this palette. I've discussed this many a time. The pigmentation is freaking amazing on them. But they're definitely not, I mean, they're easy to blend out, don't get me wrong, they blend out, but they're not as smooth as the Huda. Like the Huda just, it's butter. It just effortlessly blends together. This one has more of a pink undertone than this one. I feel like the Huda one is more of a reddy brown undertone, like the burgundy, than the Athena one. It has a little bit more of like a true red with pink undertones, you know what I mean? But they look similar. But wow, look how much more pigmented that is. All right, hold on. Let me clean this off and go back in with Saffron and see if I can build this up a little to make them more even. Just like my blend over here looks better to me. Like it's just smooth. But even still, this one looks more pigmented, but I think this one looks more blended. That's my opinion. All right, so we're gonna take this pointy BH brush. This is a number 8. 8? Is it 8? Yes. And this shade here, which is Oud, and it is the deep brown shade in the palette. And I'm going to just put that on the outer V as well, but I'm not going to take it in as far as I did with Saffron. I'm just going to use this color to smoke out the look a little bit. And again, I'm pressing and then dragging. And now I'm going to go in with the Zoeva brush to do those edges. Just blend it into Saffron. It's that easy with these. It's that easy to blend. Wow. So pretty. And then for the Athena palette, we're going to take the color Clever. 17. Alright, this one has a little bit of fallout, but it's definitely a little bit more pigmented. Which, as we know, I just think it's safe to say this entire Athena palette, look at it, it is more pigmented than the Huda. So typically what I do is I cut the crease. I'm debating, do I want to cut the crease? I kind of don't feel like cutting the crease today. I'm going to be lazy and not cut the crease. But my favorite shade in this whole palette, like probably my all-time favorite eyeshadow shade of all time is Celestial. And it's this color right here. And I mentioned in the Athena palette, it is the shade Cunning. It is like a yellow shade. It's like a gold, but it has a pink shift. It is so gorge. That is what we're gonna go in with. And I'm using the Luxie 211 concealer brush. And I pick up a generous amount of shadow and then I spray it with my MAC Fix Plus. And then I'm going in. Ooh, look at that. It's pink, but it's gold. But it's pink, but it's gold. It's a stunner. And I'm gonna just kind of sweep it up and make a fake carved crease here. Like a cut the crease without using concealer, basically. And I'm bringing it all the way to the red. All right, so I'm wiping off my brush. And now I'm taking this shade, where is it? Cunning. I hit pan on it. I'm like, when I'm out of this shade, I'm going to have to buy another palette. So again, same thing. Spraying the brush, and I'm popping it on. Yeah, this one's more pigmented too. I'm gonna cover that whole space without even dipping back into the pan. How you like them apples? I like them. Wow, so much more pigmented. It's just insanity. But very similar, those shades look almost identical. All right, so now I am gonna wipe off my brush, and I'm taking the Huda palette, and I'm going to take the shade Blood Moon, which is this one here. It's a beautiful coppery shade. And I'm just going to marry these two colors together. All right, here. All right, so next I'm going to go into the Athena palette. I'm taking the shade Divine, and I'm popping that on the same spot. I don't know if I mentioned the primer. I just put concealer on. I used the 25-hour lasting finish Rimmel concealer just because it's long wearing. I'm just going to go ahead and apply the same colors to my lower lash line. Doing a lot of brush cleaning here. So here is the eyes. One last thing I want to do, just because it's kind of the shade in the palette that no one seems to know how to use, and that is Cosmo. It's the glitter. We're gonna pop on some glitter, and I'm gonna then go to the post office because, I mean, why not? All right, here's how I like to apply these glitters. First, I take my Too Faced Shadow Insurance glitter glue. I'm using a Morphe G12. It's just a flat, tiny little brush. You can use any lip brush or any brush at all for this. I like to apply the glue with the brush so I can get a precise application. And I'm just going to apply it right here. Remember when I said a precise application? And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And we're going to have to just work quickly. Alright, so I have my glue on. So now I'm going to just wipe the brush real quick. And I am taking Cosmo. Now this is glitter, so it's going to come off if you press too hard. So you want to be real gentle with it. Take the glitter on the brush, and then you just press it over the glue. I took a little too much. I got a little crazy. You don't even need that much glitter. Way too much. So let me take a brush, and I'm just going to dust off the excess. And it dusts away pretty easy. It's only going to really stick to the glue. But then that's what it looks like. So now I got to quickly wipe off this brush. And then I'm going to take Daring. I'm going to try not to take as much. Pop that on. Oof, see? More pigmented. Athena, coming through with the pigment. Even the glitter is more glittery. It's like even more sparkle. than the Huda one. The Huda one is just like a subtle sparkle. This one is like glitter, boom, sparkle in your face. Wow. So now I'm going to apply eyeliner and lashes and lips, and I will be right back to give you my final thoughts on these palettes and let you know which one you need in your life. Okay guys, so this is the finished look. I feel like I'm looking so pale right now. I have a foundation on that isn't a right shade match, so if I'm looking a little pale, that's why. Anyway, let's see, what do I have to say? I mean, it's pretty obvious. The Athena palette has way more pigment than the Huda palette. That said, I think the Huda palette is gorgeous. I definitely think my Huda side looks way more like a professional blend than the Athena side. I think the Athena side looks beautiful. If you just saw it by itself, it's like, yeah, it's really pretty. Your eyeshadow looks pretty. But when you look at the Huda side, it's like, ooh, that's a pretty good blend. And it's crazy because when I was swatching, the matte shades in Huda are much drier than Athena. The Athena swatches, especially the mattes, were just buttery, super buttery and easy to swatch, whereas the Huda was dry. And that's probably why the pigment doesn't come out so like in your face right away. But I still think the Huda side looks better in the end, but they're very similar. Like, I think if I asked somebody to pick, they wouldn't be able to know which side was which. I don't know. You tell me. What do you guys think? Do you think that it's obvious which one the Huda side is? And can you tell I have two different palettes on my eyes? Because I don't think you can. I think that these dupes are so good. Some of the colors, shades, and undertones are off a little bit, but I think once you put the look together, they look really, really similar. Definitely, I think Huda is the winner. It is the better palette between the two when we're talking about blendability and just looking nicer. But for 12 bucks, this is amazing. And if you're in the market for, like, if you're somebody who just doesn't have the budget to spend $65 on a palette, then this is going to give you that look. It's going to look beautiful, it's going to look amazing, and your $12 is money well spent. I think that this is a great option for someone who is on a budget. That said, is this worth going out and buying? 100%. I love it. I love it. So good. So that is it for today's drugstore battle, or affordable battle, whichever you want to call it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Let me know which one you preferred. Which side do you prefer? The Huda side or the Athena side, the Bad Habit side? Let me know. And don't forget that over on Instagram, I'm going to be running a series on my InstaStories, Thank You Thursdays. I'm going to be having giveaways every single Thursday. So you want to be following me over on Instagram. It's going to be kind of fun. Just a fun little way for me to give back to you guys, and there will be a nice little prize on Thursdays for you guys. Make sure you follow me. The handle is ZachLambLatte. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.